Okay, for this video we're going to look at different types of sketches. So the first one is a single view sketch. It's the easiest one to draw because it's only one view. It shows you the front view of an object. Typically the most descriptive features are also on that front view. If you have an object with very little thickness, then you want to do a single view also because you can write down the thickness within a note. So an example of one would be something like this. So I know the overall height and width of this object. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to start adding some detail to it. Probably have a hole here. So I'm going to sketch it out first, and then I'll probably have some hidden lines here for that object. And then I can erase my guidelines and get rid of that. And that's an example of a single view. A multi-view shows you the top, the front, and right side view of an object. So let's take that same object that we just had. I'm going to draw those hidden lines again a little bit better. Put a couple center lines there to let you know there's some form of symmetry going on. Now I go to the right side view and draw the height and the depth. I have width here and I have height here. So depth-wise, it looks something like this. And then there's those two holes again. I just added a third one too. And then I'll move on to the top view and sketch it as well. Give it a rounded edge here. Draw that slope. Then I'm able to draw the holes that I have. And so because I turned at a 90 degrees here, I actually drew another hole there. So actually, I'm kind of indicating there's a hole there, the hole there. And there's one here. Probably there's one there as well. And then there's this one that you can't see from that view because it kind of goes that way. Now everything's lined up and everything's horizontal, and so make sure you have that for your multi-view. Height, width, and depth is on this object as well as an isometric. I'm going to draw a different object for this one. But things to know about an isometric is that it has 120 degrees between its three axes. It also has 30 degrees of an angle off the horizontal. Okay. There are some non-isometric lines on this object just like the last one. How do you draw them? You locate the endpoints. In this case scenario, those are the two endpoints, and then you connect them. There was no way for me to really know that angle except by locating the endpoints first. If I have a hole on there, I have to make sure I orientate it right because circles won't appear as circles anymore. They'll appear as an ellipse. And the first step I should do in trying to sketch an isometric circle is to sketch an isometric square, very much like last time. Okay. Oblique. I'm going to draw that same object that I just drew for an isometric. I'm going to put it in an oblique format. the front view is flat. Messed up my angle, but okay, so with an oblique, it could be distorted by having this angled at 30 degrees or at 45 degrees or at 60 degrees. That's up for me to decide. I do have, because my front view is flat, I do however have 90 degrees between that vertical axis and my horizontal axis. If I wanted to distortion to be lessened, like this distortion here, I'd probably put this gap here on the horizontal section. So turning my whole object around, basically. Something else to know about an oblique is that it can be divided up into cavalier or cabinet obliques. Cavalier means the depth was drawn at full scale. The cabinet oblique is drawn at half the scale. And if you do have a hole, like we had on that first object, put the hole or circular objects or irregular shaped features, put them on the front view. The last type of sketch that we're going to talk about are perspectives. And perspectives are divided into three categories. One point, 2 point, and 3 point. And they're all based on how many vanishing points that the object has. An example of a 1 point would be, let's say you're driving down a highway and everything that you see getting closer and closer to you seems to be getting larger and larger and larger, such as a highway sign here, maybe another highway sign here. It gets a little bit larger as you get closer and closer to you. This is heading toward the vanishing point. And the vanishing point basically is where all objects tend to seem as if they're disappearing. The great thing about a perspective is that it's the most realistic, yet the most complex to draw. It is the only one that has a vanishing point, but because it's the most realistic, it is how the eye would see an object. And so try to have fun with the 1 point. 2 points are a little bit different. 3 points are a lot more difficult to draw. So thank you.